Hello, welcome to the channel. I'm the Norfolk TIE pilot. I go by the name Anton. I do local conventions in my local area in Norfolk and a few further afield. I do it with a group called Norwich Droids. So predominantly I build droids, but I also have a TIE fighter costume that I wear for conventions. A little bit of a backstory. So I came into the world of 3D printing kind of like accidentally. My friend gave me a 3D printer that he bought in Germany when he was posted over there in the army. He bought it, put it in his garage, used it once, couldn't really get on with it, and then he kind of said, "Do you want it? Because otherwise, I'm just going to chuck it." And I was like, "Yeah, sure, I'll give it a go, see what this is all about." And that's pretty much how I started off. I started getting some little files, printing things off like movement trays for wargaming. So I'm predominantly from a wargaming and miniature painting background. So I was a professional miniature painter for about 6, 7 years. Painted Warhammer, things like that, commissions, all that kind of stuff, self-employed. So during that time, I did a lot of research into 3D printing while I was doing work. Had a little 3D printer going in the background, a little tiny Wanho duplicator i3. So that was quite an old printer to start with. It was a direct drive, so I never knew what that was till I kind of got further down the line in printing. But I took that printer and I built the one thing that I always wanted, and that was a full-size pit droid. So when I did that, I kind of self-taught myself how to print. So my first pit droid was absolutely janky as shit. Um, I used two walls, 10% infill because I wanted to save as much filament as I could, and didn't really know what I was doing. So just posted up pictures online and stuff, and ended up getting chatting to a bloke called Jason, who lives kind of local to me in the next city. It's about probably half an hour drive away from me. So got chatting with him. Turns out he's got an R2D2. So I was like, oh, that's pretty cool, man. Get chatting with him, learn a few bits and that. Met up with him at a convention. He had his R2 and a few other droids that he's built. And, we got chatting. We kind of said, I was like, can I join you? Because obviously you've been doing the convention scene and stuff with your son. Can I join you and come and do some conventions with you? I want to try and build some more things, and I want to try and get, the hobby going a little bit more, because miniature painting for me, obviously doing it as a job, I didn't really enjoy doing it in my spare time. So I wanted something a little bit different to kind of refresh the palette, and 3D printing was that. Um, Started doing a couple of conventions with him. Went to some small local ones, which were at my town hall and local con cons. I think it was Yarmouth Con, and there was a Christmas one at the town hall. So I went with my daughter. She was 2 at the time. She absolutely fell in love with R2D2. She wouldn't leave him alone. Um, I originally met Jason at Norcon. Sorry, that was the first time I met him at Norcon. So I went down with him for the day, just to see what it was about. Because I'd been to conventions in the past, but never really done it as the other side of the fence. I've never really been to a convention as an exhibitor, not just a normal patron coming in and have a look around. Um, Absolutely loved it. Fantastic environment, fantastic people, everybody. Even though I'd only printed like 2 pit droids, everybody was coming up and having a look at them. They were saying how awesome they are. It was a really nice experience, and it kind of snowballed from there. So once that had done, we'd done kind of like the first half a year of conventions. I thought, his R2D2 is pretty cool. I'd like my own astromech at some point, and Jason kind of said, I'll help you out with that. I'll help you out with the electrics and stuff. We can get it going. So I was like, okay. So I ended up getting one of those, an Ender 3. So obviously being doing commissions and things, I had a bit of spare cash left over, so I bought myself an Ender 3. So I started off with one, which was that. I started printing the V2 Mr. Badley's R2D2 body, but obviously I didn't want R2D2 because there's no point having 2 R2s in one club. And it kind of snowballed from there. So I started printing the V2 body, and I think after about 5 or 6 months, I'd managed to print every single part from an R5. So I'd always loved R5. I'd never really been a fan of R2 because everybody seems to have R2, but there's hardly anybody has R5. So I was like, I want R5. It's a lot more simple to build than R2. There's not a lot of electrics in the dome, not a lot of electrics in the body. Kind of a good place to start as a beginner. So, you know, Jason helped me out big time. We did that. And then randomly one day scrolling through Facebook, I come across a guy who was selling a TIE Pilot costume. So he had the raw kit, the raw plastic kit, that he'd had sitting in his, I think he said it was sitting in his attic for probably about 7 years. I think this was I can't remember the company, the big company that does all the uniforms and stuff. I think it was from them, but he basically bought it for himself, left it in a box, completely forgot about it, had a clear out of the attic, found it, and he was like, well, you know, I've got a stormtrooper and a scout trooper, I don't really want this as well. Put it up on Facebook. Nobody messaged. Nobody even commented, you know, 100 quid for a full TIE Pilot costume. And I was like, yes, please. Bit dubious at first. I thought, nah, this ain't going to work out. You know, I've sent the bloke 100 quid. He's just going to go run him with the money. 2 days later, a full kit turned up on my door. And hence the name, Norfolk TIE Pilot. So I bought the rest of the stuff for it. You can probably see more pictures of me on my Instagram, which is Norfolk TIE Pilot. Thoroughly enjoy doing costumes, you know. I'd always wanted a TIE Pilot costume ever since I was little, and you know, getting the opportunity to buy it for a fraction of the price was, you know, it was a no-brainer. So I bought that, started building that. So, you know, my first ever costume I built, I probably could have done it a little bit better. It's not bad, it's not 100%, you know, like perfect, but I did it the best I could because I think it was a B grade kit. So there was a few imperfections. I think where he'd tried to cut it out quite a few years back, he'd cut it a bit too close in places, but it wasn't noticeable when the thing was built. Fantastic bit of kit. I absolutely love it. Anytime I go out in it, everybody's always coming up to me for pictures and things like that, which I think is really, really nice. And obviously it's a little bit extra to add to the club, you know, walking around in costume with all the droids and things for people to take pictures. So I built that kit whilst I was building R5, and it's kind of progressively snowballed from there. So obviously R5 was kind of like my big first 3D printed project that I'd ever done. It took me all in total probably about 12 months and around about £2,500 to build. Obviously that's including the price of both of those printers, so I've got both of those printers there. The filament, I didn't really shop around at the time for spray paint because it was accessible at my local B&Q, so anytime I needed it I could just nip down the road and pick it up, and I wasn't too keen on buying it online in case the paint was slightly different, because you know, buying some paints from different places, whites can be a little bit off-white, so I was buying that at £10 a can, and I think I got around for about 20 to 30 cans of it, because obviously when I did the body there was a lot of sanding. I did spray paint a few bits dripped, so I had to sand it back, repaint it. But I thoroughly enjoyed it, which was it was nice to have something different other than miniatures to paint. So you know, I've got that done. I went to my first convention with him. I didn't have him as the proper R5D4 at the time, so I did loads of just red accessories instead of the actual cannon stuff. The first convention he went to was Great Yarmouth Comic Con last year, which was in 2022. He was static, so he had all the stuff in him, he had all the circuit board in him, but he wasn't moving at the time, just because we didn't have enough time to get him sorted. He did have dome movement, so he was moving the dome, but we just, honestly, we couldn't get him working for it was just some random reason. Had a little bit of a faff about at his next con, which was at Southend on Sea. I think that was about a month later. That was at Cosprint on Sea, and that was the first time he moved. So don't know what Jason did, but he somehow managed to twiddle some wires about, moved a few bits here and there, poked a few things, and he moved. So that was pretty much it. He went to Norcon last year as well. That was his first proper convention where he didn't break down once. We did Capcom as well in Ipswich, but Norcon he ran for the full 2 days, no issues, no problems. He was just banging around. Everybody loved him. Such a fantastic feeling, you know, having something that you've built getting professionally photographed and, you know, being put on websites and things like that. It was really, really fun. He's also my R5. I'll show you all my droids in a moment, but R5 is also in the Droid Builders calendar in 2023. So it does say he's a 3/4 droid for some reason. I never even mentioned the fact he was 3/4 droid, but he's not. He's full size. I do have a little bit of a collection of droids. I'm trying not to build any more at the moment. I'm trying to get other stuff finished. But my tally for the moment of droids consists of, I've got 2 pit droids. One of them's in pieces in a box because obviously, as I said, when I first started 3D printing, he wasn't the best of prints. So pretty much every part on him I move and it snaps. I've rebuilt the one that I'm going to show you in a moment. I've spent the last 2 weeks rebuilding, printing new parts. He's got a full repaint, you know, more lifelike chipping and weathering rather than the sponged loads of silver over him kind of weathering I did last time just as a quick paint job. So I've got a pit droid, I've got R5D4, I've got 3 mini droids. So I've got an R4P17, which is Obi-Wan Kenobi's droid from Attack of the Clones. That's a little mini one, so they're 40% scale. I've got a 40% scale Chopper and also another 40% scale R-Series Astromech, which I'm going to do as an Imperial one. And I'm currently in a process of building Chopper from Star Wars Rebels. And yeah, so I might as well flip the camera around, give you a little bit of a tour of the area where I build, the things I've built, and what I'm going to be up to. Some of the droids that I'm doing. So here's my pit droid. So I've been working on him now for the last couple of weeks. I've given him a full repaint. I've replaced the neck joint, the lens, the aerials. I've also, because this was the first thing I ever done, the dome was really scrappy. So I refilled that, sanded that all back, smoothed it all out. Resanded the body. I've replaced the upper arms on both of them. I've replaced the elbow joints because they just snapped in half. And I've also replaced the bottom parts of the legs. So he's on an MDF chopping board. Just basically these little fasteners screw down, keep his feet in place, so I can, I can push him and he doesn't fall over. Because kids like to touch things and push stuff over. I also did do some electronics in the back. So if I can get this out without all the batteries falling out everywhere, like that, I can show you. So what I've done was I've installed an LED into the eye. There we go. So it just gives it that little bit of an extra something. So it's just a single LED mounted into the back of the eye section. It's not. It's just a little extra something. It's just basically a couple of wires hooked up to that. So I put a little connector in there so I can take the head off for transport. Just a little AA pack wired up. So that just sits in the back part here. And there's the cover. So he's a little droid. He's got his little tool that will carry around with him. As I said, he was one of my first ever prints, so he was proper rough. Christ, the amount of things that broke on this. Obviously, because I've been taken into a few cons just over time, and my lack of printing knowledge just destroyed it. The elbows, literally all I did was twist these arms like that, and the elbows joint snapped completely in half. His neck, I just tried to take the head off the other day, and the whole neck section snapped clean in half as well. I don't have that around here, but it literally just tore in half. It was as thin as paper, so 2 walls, 10% infill. That was terrible. Obviously now I've got an Ender 3, I'm getting fantastic prints out of it, and I have been for a good few years now. I'm now doing 6 walls, 40% infill, so these things are going to last a lifetime now. And obviously taking it to and from cons, he needs to be durable, because I will be taking him apart, putting him in a box, transporting him, rebuilding him, things like that. The large aerial does come off, obviously, because that is quite a long one. But, he's pretty cool. He was also in the Droid Builders calendar in 2022. He's actually on the front cover, and I think he's Mr. April. But, I love him a bit. Obviously, he's one of my first ever droids. And, he'll always have that little soft spot in my heart. And this is the main man himself. So this is R5. So he's fully RC. Everything opens, everything moves. Dome spins, movement, everything, noises, sounds, plays music. Yeah, so everything moves. Everything's fully 3D printed, even down to the tyres. So obviously, he's not the best of droids, but he's functional. He does what needs to be done. He does look good, I did spend quite a bit of time getting all the proper stuff put on him, so I've replaced all the red parts now with all the blue bits. Everything's magnetised, so these all come off so you can take the legs off. The only thing I'll say about having an astromech this size is it's a pain in the ass to transport. So I only drive a 206, Peugeot 206, and he takes up my whole car. So I will literally have his body in the back, his dome on the front seat, the legs on the back seat. You know, he takes up the whole car, and he's fucking heavy. And I mean really, really heavy. If I was to try and carry him fully built, that ain't going to happen. I'd need at least 2 people with me. Obviously, him being the V2 body, he is basically like 60 parts on the whole body, rather than the V3 edition, which is just 3 rings, which are a lot thinner and a lot lighter. So I'll probably upgrade him at some point, but I might not. I might just build another one and see how that goes. Obviously, he's got all the bits and bolts. He's got a little restraining bolt on there. All the arms, as I said, all the arms and doors open, so these all move. They all go up and down. His dome spins. He's got sounds and lights. I will do another video at some point when I've just cleared all this out of the way, and I'll show you him moving. I'll show you the electronic side of things and everything else. So he's got a few mods and things like these eyes and stuff. These are all resin printed, so I knew a bloke who did resin printed, so all the details on the legs, things like this, they're all resin printed. Same with all these bits here. These are proper lenses, so there you go. So these are actual lenses, the ones you put into doors so you can see people on the other side of the door, little peephole things. There's 3 of them, so they screw in literally on the other side, keep the eye in place. As I said, I love him a bit. He's like my favouriteest thing I own. He's pretty much like my talking point at most parties. I also did him a custom controller, so he runs off the Padawan system, so he runs off an Xbox 360 controller. So rather than having the crappy white one, what I've done was I colour matched it to him, so he's got the red and white, so red and white and black. Obviously you get a new battery pack, but he's now red and white, so he's got a nice custom controller. He's got all the bits and bobs down here, so like the leg hoses and things, but he did take in total probably around 11-12 months. It was a lot of work. The body, just sanding the body, took me nearly a week. Spray painting, no time at all. Just honestly prep and build on this thing was a nightmare. If I could do it again, I probably wouldn't, but I really want to because I want to get a version 3, and I want to build an R2 style astromech, but in red. I like red. And yeah, so that's my R5. Here's my latest project. So this is Chopper from Star Wars Rebels. So he's got his little aerial and things. He's currently in the build process. So I've just finished, as you can see from these piles of parts down here, I've just finished printing the drives for his feet. I have more parts up on my shelf behind me. He was mainly printed by one of my friends, Darren, who's also in our club, Norwich Droids. He goes by Essex Droid Builder on Instagram. He really did help me out big time on this because I only have 2 Ender 3s. A lot of these parts on here were too large for the Ender's print bed. He hooked me up big time, so I bought all the filament he needed for him and myself because he's also doing a live action chopper, and the man had his printers going like 24/7 for like 2 months, and he did the entire body for me. He did the entire legs. He gave me one of his domes that he had sitting around because he had a bit of a clear out, and honestly I cannot thank that man enough. He gave me the droid that I wanted originally. He made it possible for me to own it just by literally helping me out and doing prints and things. All the little other bits I've kind of done myself. Assembly wise on this, you could build 10 of these in the time it takes to one of them. So he literally just clips together. All his parts fit together so well. Easy as anything. But we do have a chopper in the group already, so there's a guy called Tom with us as well. He is the chopper controller, so he's got the cartoon version of Chopper, the animated version. I'm going to be doing the animated version, but the Imperial disguise version, so he's going to be black and grey when they repaint him to infiltrate the Imperial base. There is quite a few of us in the group, and we're all trying not to have the same droids, because who wants to turn up to a convention with 5 R2s in one group? It's just not not fun. Kind of takes the realism away as well. You know, we've all got different droids. Brings that realism a bit more because then they're not all the same. I'm estimating that he's probably going to take me another 6 or 7 months to do. I can't really do the prep and paint stage until summer because there's no way in hell I'm going outside because it's minus like 2 at the moment. And I'm not standing over there all day sanding. As I said, parts wise, you know, I just printed all these bits. These are all for the feet. His drive motors are so much more simpler than that thing. He's an absolute fucking nightmare. But yeah, you know, there's some upgrades coming that Jason from the group's getting us from us overseas for the foot drives and things. And yeah, so that's Chopper. So as I said, I've got more parts up there. So his foot shells are up there, his legs are up there as well, and all his little greeblies. I'll move this out of the way. Bear with me. So this is my little R4P17. So this is my little 40% droid. He's a little beast. So he's literally RC controlled. So he runs off a Fly Sky receiver and controller. One of these. So with these you can have this linked up to about 5 or 6 different things. So I've got one of them for all my droids. He's just got dome movement. He moves. He's got little lights in him as well. He was the second thing I ever built. He's the reason why I wanted to build R5. But honestly, at conventions people love him because he's so dinky, scooting around and things. Kids love him because they think he's cute. Just finished doing a little bit of a repaint on him, adding some more details in areas I missed. Gave it a weathering, you know, just to bring out some more of the details and the cracks and things. Just updated him for this year's worth of conventions because he was getting a bit scrappy. So that's him. Over here, as I said, I've got my TIE pilot gear here. So this is my helmet with the hoses. That's my chest plate. This is my jumpsuit. So I've got the boots in my wardrobe. That's my blaster holder. My blaster's up the top there. That's kind of my pride and joy thing. I absolutely love that. I'd wear it every day if I could. Over to this side. So as you can see in the back, if you can see him, there's another little mini 40% astromech at the back. Mini Chopper. So he'll be getting repainted and he'll be getting painted this week. So Darren, who printed Chopper's body for me, he gave me pretty much 3/4 of that. And I finished it off, put the motors in and stuff, and he now runs, his alarm moves and everything. Darren also gave me a full print R2 dome, so that's the reason why I want to build a Mark III, so I can have that in red. Chopper's legs, Chopper's foot shells, my resin printer, which I do not know how the fuck to work, and the main workhorses of my build. So 2 Ender 3s, both standard. The only things I've upgraded are metal extruders there. Hot end upgrade, so that's a little bit of a better one. Silent motherboards in both, because these things do make a hell of a lot of noise. Silent motherboard makes so much difference. And yeah, these things have been churning for about 2 years now, non-stop. Well, they're turned off now, but just finished doing 2 prints today. But yeah, these things churn off prints like no one's business, and they're really, really good. You know, don't take up much room, just on top of a little bit of chest of drawers there. Yeah. So that's my collection of droids and bits and bobs. So I just thought I'd do a little bit of an introduction video today. I'm also a big Star Wars toy collector. I've got massive shelves full of toys and stuff. Only episode 1, I like episode 1, that's what I grew up with. I'll do a video on that at a later date though. I'm just trying to get this channel a bit more active this year with con videos, things. I'm going to be taking my GoPro to cons. Sticking that on top of R5, driving around cons and things, you know, just to get like a droid's eye view of things. Also, I'll be doing walk around videos at cons in my gear. Yeah, I'm going to try and do some build videos as well, just so you can see what like the build process is of building a droid. It's not overly difficult. There is some skill involved, but you know, anybody can do it. I'd recommend starting with the pit droid. Take it from there. You know, if I can do it, anybody can do it. And yeah, it's all just transferable skills, which is good. So yeah, I'm planning on doing some more of these videos in the future, and you know, I'll keep you guys updated with cons and things. I'll do reviews of cons and like what was good about it, what was bad about it. Yeah, it's not really much else I can say. So I'm going to do a full video probably later in the week for my pit droid. I'll do a full breakdown of it, parts, printing things like that, paint wise, pros and cons, upgrades and things you can do to it. I'll then do a video on R5, so that'll be a more in-depth one. I'll probably do that a little bit of a series, so I'll show how things work, upgrades, how the computer system works and things. I'll show build vlog on Chopper and Mini Chopper, and also the Imperial 40%, because when I'm walking around in my TIE Pilot gear, I want to have a little handheld controller, and I want to be driving that around in my TIE Pilot gear, just as my little companion. And then and I'll probably end up building something else now, my luck. Yeah, thank you very much for watching the video. I hope to be watching doing some more of these in the future, and I hope you enjoy watching them. I'm going to try and do a video probably at least a couple of times a month if I can, and pretty much take it from there. So thank you very much for watching. I appreciate the time you've spent listening to me jabbering on about plastic, and I shall see you all in the next video. So thank you very much.